I have two things that I'd like to say before I begin at all. One is that Lee Sorensen and I used to share a room together. She's a tall woman like I am, and people would congratulate me for her speeches and her for mine. I want to make clear, I'm Lucy, and Lee is next. I also think that some of you should be aware that I did not have a sex change. I'm not Eric Way, as it looked like yesterday. Okay, down to business. I want to urge you, because time is limited always, I want to urge you to come to the US interactive session, which is immediately after the coffee break. It'll be in this same room, so you can leave everything and come back here, because we'll go into considerable more detail as we can on the things that I'll be touching on briefly now. My responsibility in FACO is to coordinate the work of the US committees that Monica told you about yesterday, to work with other overseas advocacy organizations, and to work with Washington as I can, to go back once in a while for Overseas Americans Weeks, or as I did in Washington, just to meet with staffers or agencies and try to express your concerns to them. Yes, okay, I'm going to jump, excuse me. Oh, and please also come for even more details. Come to the face-to-face session this afternoon, because there we will be able to talk to you one-on-one. We're here, use us. Voting from overseas, Mary Stewart Berger and Cynthia Smith Ayed. US Tax and Banking, Eric is not with us, but our new co-chair, Margaret Steffman, is here for Tax and Banking. And of course, we do have our conference sponsors, US Tax and Financial Services. So you have a lot of experts. I'm just the face for them right now. My biggest concern, and what has taken the most time this year, the most of my time this year, is the ramping up on the part of the IRS and the Treasury Department to catch all those wealthy tax evaders and fiscal frauders. You simply cannot imagine the emails and phone calls I've received, and of course that's just a drop in the bucket compared to all of the other people out there that are concerned, from people, and not only women obviously, who are worried about being caught and penalized for something they were unaware of, or of being cut off from what they thought was the financial security of their household because a foreign spouse, very understandably, refuses to have accounts which hold their own private investments and salaries declared to the US. The IRS, excuse me. So, for a little bit more information on that, are we okay? I just see flags coming in, sorry. 10 minutes. Okay. I'd like you to take a look at my conference report, which is on page 35 of your annual report. And also, if you have time, see my full report on the website under Recent News in the US Liaison section. You can also subscribe to Washington Update Bulletins, because whenever anything important happens, I'm going to put one up just today as soon as I can. You will get a bulletin from me, and that's a very easy thing to do when you on the FACO website. Today I have 8 important messages I'd like to convey to you. Number 1, if you like the current Congress, vote to get them elected. If you don't like the current Congress, vote to kick them out, but vote. Since the passage of the MOVE Act in 2009, everyone must request a ballot every year. And don't think that in the past, if you received it automatically, you're going to get it again. That may not be the case, because they're trying to save money and not send ballots out that are not going to reach the proper address. So request it every year. It's better to be safe than sorry. This afternoon, Cynthia and I will have our computers there to register any of you who would like to register over the FACO website. Yourself. Please urge your members and others in your community to use that facility. Once again this year, Overseas Vote Foundation, our wonderful partner, has given us access to a dedicated FACO OVF registration, voter registration and ballot request website. So use that. It is incredibly user-friendly. And it gives you access to all the information you could possibly need. You can't do it. Thanks very much. Oh, I'm okay. All the information you could possibly need, which is specific to your state. It's wonderful. And you can't go wrong, because if you do go wrong, they show you where you have gone wrong and they help you, This year, this is new for FAUSA. You need to know that OVF has created a dedicated website for for people living in the United States. And it's called US Vote Foundation, so go to usvotefoundation.org and you'll find the most user-friendly possible website to register your members in the United States. This is message number 3 already. Please also remember that overseas UOCAVA voters, UOCAVA is the Uniformed and Overseas Voter, Absentee Voter Act. UOCAVA voters, that's us in the military, are not subject to state taxes. Do not use that as a reason to not vote. Nor are we, and this a lot of people are concerned about, nor are we subject to the voter ID laws, which are coming into play in a number of states. So there should be nothing stopping you vote. At the US Issues Workshop, you'll hear more about those bank accounts you're having trouble with overseas, and that is Margaret's specialty, so I'm not going to touch on that at all. I'm going to go on to my bad news, which a lot of you already know. US citizens and green card holders are subject to US taxation on their worldwide income above what are really very low thresholds. Now, we'll talk about this more later, but every time I say this, there is somebody in the room who says, oh, that doesn't apply to me. Please, it does. No matter how you feel about it, it's the law. And the important thing that you need to know also is that the State Department now says on your passport renewal form, says that they will and perhaps can, they can and perhaps will, share your passport information with the IRS. So, just don't play with this. Don't find yourself refused a passport sometime because you have not complied with your tax responsibilities. Number 6, more bad news that you should already know, and everybody who's been coming regularly to the FOCO conference does know. You're also required under law, and this has been true since 1970. So you can't just say I never heard about it. To file a foreign bank account report, the famous FBAR, which you will also hear more about later today. You have to file an FBAR if the aggregate of the money in all of your foreign bank accounts of all kinds exceeds $10,000 on any one day in the year. Now, that will apply to everybody in this room. The penalties for not filing are very high, and the IRS tax commissioner, Dr. Schulman, is convinced that there is a lot of money out there just waiting to be collected. So, this is not good. And this year, it just got worse, thanks to the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, FATCA, with IRS Form 8938, which unlike the FBAR, which goes to the Treasury, 8938 goes with your tax return. The good news there is that if you don't file a tax return, you don't file 8938. Okay, thanks to FOCO and other organizations like it, the filing threshold for 8938 just got higher. We'll talk about that later this morning. However, there is good news, and I'm not going to have time to tell you all of it, but the biggest good news is that everything still seems to be in flux. Just on February 8th of this year, the IRS announced an agreement with 5 European countries that changes the way the banks will do the reporting on you. And a number of us are convinced that there is going to come a time when they're going to have to do the same thing for individual filers. Our long-standing friend Carolyn Maloney in Congress is working to arrange a meeting very soon for FOCO, ARROW, and ACA with the Treasury to present and discuss your concerns. Just on Tuesday of this week, Carolyn Maloney was at a hearing. She's the ranking member on the Financial Services Committee. She was questioning Treasury Secretary Geithner. I will give you later today a URL where you can go and see her say, Secretary, what are you going to be doing about legitimate overseas Americans living and working overseas who are having trouble with access to bank accounts? And you will be able to see the Treasury Secretary say, we're going to work with your office to make things better. So yeah, this is really very important. So I will finish with one thing only. A friend of mine said to me years ago, Lucy, if you're going to dream, dream big. Don't waste your time on little dreams. So I'd like to dream big. And I'd like to dream that the percentage of overseas voters significantly exceeds the 3% threshold of the 3% of the overall vote that it's been for a number of years, and most importantly, that all those votes are counted. I'd like to dream that the IRS and the Treasury Department wake up soon to the terrible unintended consequences of legislation they supported and introduced to catch tax evaders and money launderers. And I'd like to dream that, thanks to FOLCO and organizations like it, your life will become a little bit less complicated in the very near future. Thank you.